If my mother was in a good mood, the entire house was in a good mood.
Exactly. I'm wondering whether I'm guilty or not.
Has Laura ever made you get on your knees begging for God's mercy?
Especially now that she's scrolling, she's making me also crawl.
Can I ask the dad to come and take her now?
We have to integrate our prayer life with our everyday schedule.
No matter how busy you are, you have to prioritize. Now, you can be busy for the Lord, but the most important thing is you have to be busy with the Lord.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening us from. This is COGCAST. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by two incredible women who I love and adore, who embodies the heart of this series, the Kingdom Calling Everyday Missionaries. They're not just mothers, they are professionals who have worked, they're teachers who have taught, and I'm so happy to have them in this series with us. They are living examples of how faith can flourish in everyday rhythms of family life. And I look up to them, and let me introduce you to two wonderful women, beautiful women with me, Tesnia George and Reena Rachel George with us. Thank you. I lovingly call them Techi and Reena Aunty, so I'll be using that terms throughout, so bear with me.
Yes, thank you.
It's lovely to have you all. How are you doing? How's it going? How's life?
We're doing very well, and
And
we're waiting to see what's in store for us today.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I can see this lovely little lady sitting right beside Techi. I have to introduce Miss Laura. Hi, Miss Laura.
So this is her first podcast.
She's very excited. She's staring at me. I'm a little... Okay. Okay. So before we get into all the serious questions that we're going to ask today, I want to do a rapid fire round. I know this is a surprise,
Yes.
but I'm going to go ahead and do it because it's got a lot of questions that I wanted to ask both of you from a very long time. So I'll go alternatively. Whatever pops up first into your mind,
Okay.
and then you can just say the answer. Yeah?
No wrong answers, right?
No wrong answers. Everything is right answers. Okay. If you could have dinner with one of the characters from the Bible, who would it be and why?
David,
David, and why?
because I love the hymns that he has written.
So he would probably be singing throughout the whole
Yes,
concert,
exactly.
private concert.
Exactly.
Awesome. What is the most unusual place you have ever prayed?
In the washroom.
In the washroom. Okay. Okay. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
Playing different kinds of instruments, though I do know a few of them.
Uh,
Basics.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
pick an instrument. Which would it?
Violin.
Violin.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I know you love baking. Which is the best cheesecake, chocolate or red velvet?
Chocolate,
she's-
definitely.
Okay. I had a feeling she's not going to say neither and make me feel bad. Okay. Next question. Favorite hymn or a worship song?
What a friend we have in Jesus.
What a friend we have in Jesus. Okay. Reena, what is your go-to comfort food?
Food.
Food.
Any kind of chocolate.
Any kind of chocolate? Okay.
It helps me relieve my stress.
Okay. Is that the same with you?
No, for me it's pizza. So that's what I said. She's got the same instinct. So whenever there's
Okay,
pizza, she
okay.
tries to get it.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So this is to Techi. Has Laura ever made you get on your knees begging for God's mercy?
Oh, every day. Especially now that she's scrolling. She's making me also crawl. And bend
Are you
my
making
knees.
Mama crawl?
Yes.
Look at her.
Yeah.
She agrees.
She agrees. Okay. There you go. Can I ask the dad to come and take her now? Okay. Reena Aunty, last question to you.
Okay.
Best advice you have ever got? If it is a line or a phrase from someone who you love, admire, what would be the best advice you've ever got?
Okay, my father always used to tell us that education should not be bottled up.
Okay.
So that's what I'm still doing, educating people.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Amazing.
the best, yes.
Thank you. This is the rapid fire round, which we'll be doing with everybody. So this is something that we're going to do. I think, Javicha, you can come and take her now.
Okay, so that was
Thank
very
you for the
interesting.
surprise.
Yes, she behaved very well.
Yes.
So I was reading an article the other day. It was about the powerful influence of moms on Christian households. Yeah, It's an article written by a woman in 2019, and it talks about how much moms play a huge role in upbringing their children. And there are some stats that I want to throw out. According to the practicing Christian teens mothers, mothers are go-to person for all kinds of support. When it comes to advice, 88%, encouragement 85%, and sympathy 72%. I'm not avoiding the dads. Fathers play a key role as well when it meets tangible needs, like for money. They go to dads. That's like a natural response. 74% of the kids go to their dads. Logical help, like it's got to do with something that they need answer to. A logistical help as well, right? So it's kind of embodied into the family household that both mothers and fathers play equal roles, but then mothers have got an upper hand when it comes to speaking to teens or to their children, and it comes up with a lot of challenges as well, right? So my first question would be to Techajeji, where have there been any specific moments or experiences where you face challenges in balancing your responsibility as a mother, but at the same time balancing your spiritual life? So this takes a toll, yeah. It sometimes brings a lot of questions into your mind. They have questions that you don't have answers for, and at the same time you want to manage somewhat what your spiritual life is, where you are standing, where your children are standing, and all of that. What do you think about this?
Yes, so there have been a few instances. First of all, I'm a new mother, so it's a beautiful experience.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So my baby is around 6 months old right now. And I think the greatest challenge I've faced is always having a crunch of time in balancing my spiritual life with the everyday demands of life. So I am someone who is wired to wanting to have this set timetable or a strict discipline when it comes to my Bible reading and prayer. And I think it's not just me, but most moms out there.
True.
We have this idea of being able to sit in this comfortable and cozy place and having a quiet time, reading the Bible, praying, and we enjoy that calmness and peacefulness.
True.
But motherhood is anything but calm and peace and quiet and all of those things together. And especially right now in those early stages where our children are really demanding, or at least in the earlier phases of life where they need our constant attention.
True.
It's almost impossible for us to say no to everything and just sit in a place and continue our spiritual life. Absolutely. Or our thoughts. And that is one of the challenges which I've been actually facing. So what I do is, like, I was pushing myself to still keep at it. And when I was not able to do that, I was getting frustrated.
True.
So if I miss that one window of my quiet time, I'm not able to do it again. So I started feeling a void in my spiritual life and everything. But that's where God reminded me and made me realize that sometimes we as mothers, we have to weave together our quiet time, our prayer, our spiritual thoughts, or our devotions along with the rhythm of everyday life. So what I mean to say is we have to integrate our prayer life with our everyday schedule.
Makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. So I think something that is really important to know is that we'll have to unlearn so many of the practices that we've been doing for so long. Because I've been doing this from school to college to after my married life. It's something that we're so used to. It becomes a habit. So it's difficult for us to unlearn.
Yeah.
But a very practical example which I learned from my daily life itself is something very simple. It's video calling my sister.
Okay.
So I have an elder sister. She lives pretty far away, and as all of us do, we video call each other. That's our relationship right now is limited to video calls.
True.
So what happens is after I've become a mother too, we find it really hard to have a conversation. So whenever I'm trying to find that perfect time or that perfect place to talk to her, I'm ending up not talking to her at all. So what we decided to do is we decided to combine what we are doing with talking to each other. So for example, I video call her, I just place my phone somewhere nearby and I continue what I'm doing.
Okay.
So in that way, what's happening is I'm doing what I'm doing, but at the same time, I am talking to her. I can still hear her. I can still know what she's doing. In other terms, I'm still connected to her.
Makes sense, yeah.
And that's the same thing that I think God expects from us too. He just wants us to be connected to Him all the time.
Right.
So while we are doing our innumerable chores and duties, my take is just keep talking to God. Keep having a conversation with Him. Keep telling Him what you feel. So in that way, you're listening to Him, you're being sensitive to Him, and you're connected to Him.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that is something that, I do.
It's amazing, right? So multitasking,
Yeah, I was going to say the term. Yes.
Yeah, so the word is multitasking because it takes a lot when it comes to handling a baby, especially a toddler.
Exactly.
It takes a lot. You need to be there as well as here, right?
Everywhere.
Exactly.
Which brings me to my next question to Reena Aunty. If you had a secret sauce or a recipe for moms trying to grow spiritually, and personally while keeping up with the chaos of motherhood, what would it be? What would be the secret sauce that you would give?
Okay, so actually it's a combination of so many ingredients, and I perfectly agree with whatever Techu has told. And multitasking is, the word for the day. I always say I'm a PhD in multitasking because that's what we have to do. Yeah, but I have one main term, and that is prioritizing. No matter how busy you are, you have to prioritize. Now, you can be busy for the Lord, but the most important thing is you have to be busy with the Lord. And it's very difficult, with all the mundane activities. But then in your heart, you know that this is the priority, and God knows also that this is your priority. So, your children watching you will know that this is your priority. And for that, we have to have a quiet time with the Lord. Now, people expect us to have maybe hours and hours of sitting, at God's feet and things like that. But that's just not possible with all these tasks. So, but you have to have a quiet time. Maybe it's just for 5 minutes. And then I believe that even if you're washing dishes, even if you're taking a walk, even if you're talking to the child about, prayer and everything, you are in close relationship with God, right? Yeah. And also all this stems from the fact that you have to have a very close relationship with God.
Absolutely.
And that does not start when you have a difficult time, not when you are in the direst of situations. So start building it when you are in a good relationship, and also when everything goes well by you, so that when a bad time comes, you can always run to the Lord. That's all. And also, like I said, you need not sit for hours and hours, maybe just 2 minutes, but you're talking to the Lord, and you can tell him all your cares and concerns and everything, and so do it in installments.
Makes sense, yeah.
And I have a favorite verse, whatever you do it, do heartily as to the Lord and not unto men.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you're not, out to get people's impression.
Yeah.
They might say you're not a perfect mother, you're not doing it exactly the way society does, but, this is up to you and God and the children you're looking after.
yeah.
Yes. So I think this is
Yeah.
the secret sauce. A lot of ingredients,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just one
Makes a lot of
main
lot
ingredient.
of
Yes,
sense.
yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. Before that, there's a myth that goes around that women who are mothers have rare time to do ministry, and who doesn't have the chance to step up in church or do things. I want to break that myth today. So which brings me to my next question to Tejji. How do you see your role as a mother contributing to the broader mission of the church and the kingdom of God? How would you bring that into perspective for people who are listening?
Okay, first of all, understanding the term mother. A mother is actually a very serious title that I believe God has entrusted me with and has told me to carry on. And being a mother, my main mission is actually to be able to rely on the Holy Spirit, to be able to raise my child in a way that he or she becomes a disciple for Christ and serves him.
Absolutely.
And I think that every mother who follows that mission is actually following the great commission of the Lord, which is go and make disciples.
Yes.
So how, you may ask, because it doesn't make, it doesn't term, but how it means is we are actually directing our child towards Christ. And in so doing, we are making them a disciple of Christ.
Absolutely.
And that is going to be a chain reaction which is going to then follow. Even in the Bible, we see God has given us many examples of biblical mothers. They were godly women, loyal women, devoted women who were just doing what was entrusted to them faithfully. Mothers like Hannah, Moses' mother, Jochebed, Elizabeth, they all prayed over
Prime
their
examples,
children. Exactly. They prayed over their children. They raised their children to be those who loved and served God. And they are examples for us to follow. So if you think about it, a mother is like that first mirror. A mirror for a child, and that mirror is actually pointing towards the life and characteristics of Jesus Christ.
Beautiful, yeah.
So like I mentioned, my baby is currently 6 months old, and she's recently started this habit of imitating whatever we do. So it's funny, but at the same time I started realizing how much are our children watching us.
Absolutely.
Like if at such a young infant age she's doing
6
the same
months,
thing,
right?
6 months. So imagine what she would do when she comes to more of an understanding age. So our children watch us.
Absolutely.
They see everything that we do. They see our intimate relationship with Christ. They see when we're on our knees. They see that, okay, when we have a problem, we don't grumble. We don't do things which are not good. But instead, what we do is we pray to the Lord. They see our trust in Christ. They watch everything. So that really influences them.
True.
And what happens is definitely after a certain age, our children are going to be exposed to so many things. They're going to go to schools. They're going to meet different friends. They're going to be exposed to the outside world. But whom are they seeing on a daily basis? It's us. Whom are they seeing continually? It's no one but us.
Yes.
And just like adults also, what we see on an everyday basis is what we're going to remember the most. And that's the same thing with them. What they're exposed to continually is what's going to be embedded into their minds.
Absolutely.
So we mothers have a very important role to play in our children. And I jokingly say this in our home, but it's actually very serious when you think about it. Growing up in my house, if my mother was in a good mood, the entire house was in a good mood. If my mother was happy, if she was jovial, the entire house would be up and about. But if my mother was in a bad mood, the entire house would be down.
To the audience who are listening, the mother is sitting right there and she's taking this opportunity.
Exactly. I'm wondering whether I'm guilty or not.
It's very true. It's very true.
Very true.
The entire house mood sets on how the mom reacts. Yeah.
Exactly. You have felt this too?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So if she was in a bad mood or if her face was down, it would resonate to my dad, to my sister, to me. So a mother is so influential on the behavior of her entire family, in fact. So without us knowing also, we are actually planting those seeds of a Christ-like character into the hearts of our children.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about a mission, what is our mission? Mothers, our mission field is our children.
Yes.
Like we say, our mission field is our workplace, our mission field are our friends, our mission field is also our children.
Yep.
And we are actually the ones who are leading them towards Christ. So I have a very favorite quote which Charles Spurgeon once said. He said, mothers, the godly training of your offspring is your first and most pressing duty.
Quote unquote.
I think that sums it all.
Yeah, I think that's the giveaway. Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. There are moments in our life where we realize we are certainly close to God. There are that encounters that we have during our quiet times, or it can be during a Sunday service or something where we realize that, hey, I'm in connect. I feel God's presence. Has there been any specific moments or experiences where you felt particularly close to God through your work as a mother in particular? Yeah. So while you were a mother, did you experience some sort of an encounter?
Okay, since you are asking me, but I should say that more than specific moments, my entire life, being a mother and a homemaker and a teacher, I have been very close to God through so many experiences. But maybe one or two experiences, especially when teaching children the word, and sharing with them my spiritual experiences and how God has led me and my family, and the way they learnt it and the way they are continuing in their family life, really, made me closer to God in being extremely thankful to Him. That's what. And for giving me the privilege of, being a steward of children. And I always wonder, and my profession has been of a teacher, and I'm still continuing digitally and otherwise. So it is to mold children, and it is very true. So for these some moments or experiences, some of these are those. And of course I should say that when my second daughter was born 7.5 years later than the first one, I felt an extra surge of thankfulness, and I gave up my profession to be with her, maybe to give her some extra time, quality time. It's not that working mothers can't. So incidentally, let me tell you that the concept of a homemaker is only of a woman sitting at home and looking after her children. It's not like that. Even people who are working, ladies who are working, they are also homemakers, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that too, they just have to juggle both of these.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can just say that these are some, specific moments or experiences. And I should tell that we should never feel guilty that we are not being the perfect mother. So every small miracle in life,
Yep.
whether they're, their milestones, their ups and downs, all these are moments which have given me extreme joy with God. And my grandma always used to say, whatever you do it well. The the little English that she knew, she used to tell us. So all these things, have helped us in life. So I think that answers your
Yes,
question.
absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
every bit of motherhood,
Every moment
is
counts.
a specific moment or experience,
Yeah.
which made me draw closer to God.
Yep.
Because being thankful to God. That's it. Yeah.
The role of mothers, there's a lot of external influence as well. Yeah, when it comes to the world, the husbands, of course, our fathers, of course, play a vital role. Then the extended community that you live in living in a metropolitan city like Dubai or Sharjah, you don't really know your neighbors. But if it's in India, your neighbors play a role in you being a mother. And to an extended phase, a church plays a huge role. Yeah,
Very much. Yeah.
This question is for you, Renanti, again. How can a church better support and recognize the contribution of mothers, homemakers in their spiritual journey and the service to the communities?
Yes, so if I may say so, the church is a very important institution that supports the contributions of mothers and homemakers. But we know in our atmosphere, like everyone comes, prays, and just goes off. But if you see, the church should support more of women and homemakers. So in the sense, it can start some activities to support them. For example, the elderly women can be called out, to give some advice to the younger ones in role modeling and really tried and tested methods, right? So they have come this way, so they can say, because when younger mothers feel frustrated and not being able to carry out all the duties perfectly, especially regarding the present world atmosphere, it's much different from the previous one. So in encouraging them, in motivating them to look after children, and also the term spiritual children comes into play over here, because the church is very instrumental in bringing up spiritual children.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And one more thing is, they can have platforms where the mothers of different age groups, be they toddlers or infants or young children or even adolescents mainly, yes, where they can open up and share their experiences,
Problems that they face on a daily basis.
And even that, see, the society always has a label or a tag to mothers who are expressing their fears or something like that, but it's not like that. They should have an atmosphere of freedom where they can communicate, where it is okay to share their sorrows, to share their fears. Because I've had many mothers telling me, oh, my son does not talk, he doesn't say verses properly, and or he doesn't, or she doesn't listen to me whenever I advise, things like that. So I've always have a word for them that just give them time. So, they are passing through a phase and they will come up. So such interaction between elderly mothers or pastors or Sunday school teachers who themselves are homemakers, right? And who are mothers also. So give them a platform, things like that. And I feel that children's involvement is very important. If you make them do some work or some leadership roles, they will have the onus of being responsible, not just depending on their parents for all these things. Yes. And of course, so in that way I say empathy is very important. Yes, being in that other person's shoes, not looking down on them. Yes. And of course Jesus considered the role of women as very important, right? In the ministry.
Absolutely.
So women should be considered very important. And incidentally, also the tag of you have shared some statistics. So the emotional part definitely is taken mostly by mothers. But I know that fathers also can have a very good bond with children when they share, especially with boys. Yes, I've seen like that. So I feel that fathers also should be given this task of supporting and mentoring, the children and coming up, not just saying, okay, women should grow up the children. That's what. So all these things. So I just want to say one more thing: an honest air of communication should be there.
Absolutely.
Where the children should be free to talk to their parents. They should not be afraid. And one more thing, whatever they tell us, we should not betray their confidentiality. So same thing when mothers also tell us their problems. So in this way, the church, in the form of mentorship, in all stages, can support the contributions of mothers. And even if mothers have a small child, we should not negate them. Oh, we are not taking them for this activity, or they cannot do. It's not that. Someone can look after the child, right? And give them also involvement. So I think
absolutely.
these
And,
are different ways.
Yes, and I would just like to add to that, like, definitely parents have the sole responsibility of taking care of their children, but I feel like as parents, just knowing that they have some support, like just knowing that there are church members or mentors or Sunday school teachers who actually care for their children, who are actually not doing just a duty but are really worried about the well-being of their children, and who are just there to support them, makes a big difference for the parents as well. They feel like they're not carrying all the weight on their own.
Absolutely.
So there's someone to support them as well.
Absolutely.
So I think that plays a very important role too.
See, mothers go through burnouts, in the sense they have, especially which Aunty said about mothers who are working.
Yes.
They juggle both their children's emotions, preparing for the next day, preparing for that night, and then plus also handle the work aspect as well, right? So when these burnout points reach, there are so many mental breakdowns. There are so many cases where parents have given up. There are so many cases where in India it's brutal, right? It goes beyond like letting go of the child, dropping it off somewhere. So before it reaches that point, I think church is that safety net, which they can fall back into and say, hey, I need help. Hey, I need to understand a little bit better. And the more than anything else, I think if there's one place that you can boldly go to, it's the presence of God, and put our trust in God and trust in Him to understand that, hey, God is going to be there for me throughout the process of this motherhood.
Exactly.
Especially there are phases, right? Especially when the child is just born, you're in that phase, that first 12 months. And after when the child starts to go to nursery and then the schooling, every phase is different. And mothers are tuning themselves and tuning their children to be in that space for them, to be emotionally available, be physically available for them. And they're doing all that. Kudos to all the moms out there. And I think this is where we conclude our podcast today. This has been amazing. So I think it's given insights to a lot of people who are listening to us, who will be listening to us in this podcast series, where we talk about different aspects of life, where you are serving you might be a pastor, you might be working in an industry as a professional. Both of you have been working there, and you have been serving the Lord at the same time. Now you're mothers who are there for your children, molding them to be ambassadors for Christ, be the light and salt of this earth. And I feel like this is a great start to a great opportunity for people to listen to what God wants us to do through our life here on earth, right?
Yes,
Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a true honor and a privilege for me to speak with you, and I feel like it's brought insights not just to me, but to our listeners as well.
So I just want to add one tip for everyone. Never get disheartened. That's it. If you're not going to excel in one thing also, like you said, just pour out all your problems to God, and He will give you the strength. You don't have to put up a show for anyone. You be who you are, and always remember that you are precious to God. So God is with you as a mother, and that child is going to see that in you, so that the child will follow you, and the child will follow those positive traits and reflect it to the world.
Absolutely.
So anyway, thank you also for having us, and
it's been wonderful.
This actually reminded us also more of our responsibilities and duties.
Absolutely, right? It's a gentle reminder for everybody. Everybody needs a look back at from their fundamentals of where they came from, and having a mother and a daughter, and that daughter who was there before. It's wonderful. Thank you both so much. Thank you all for joining us in today's podcast. We'll be continuing to do furthermore with a lot more people, amazing people, men and women of God, who would be speaking to us about serving the Lord in the states that they're in, the workplaces, in the community that they're part of. This would be COGCAST, enabling people to enrich through Christ. And tune in for more. God bless you all.